Just imagine if all of your customers were new customers. Everybody loves new customers. They're excited about us and we're excited about them. We have no receivables or service issues with them. They've never complained to us about anything. It's a great relationship. Most importantly, they're bringing us revenue that we didn't have before. There's only one real challenge about having a new heating customer, and that's that we really don't know how much fuel they're going to need. Sure, we have hundreds or thousands of customers that have similar sized houses, and we know that a 2,200 square foot house might burn, say, 700 gallons a year, but it also might burn 1,100 gallons a year. So what do? How do we determine K factors in houses that we're planning to make deliveries to? Well, the first thing we do, we start off very conservatively. Better to make small deliveries than let a customer run out, especially a new customer. Small deliveries are okay, as our back office system tracks the deliveries and the heating degree days over time, let's say 2 winters. The K factor might rise a little bit, but it'll definitely become more accurate. Making small and inefficient deliveries to a new customer is just a small price to pay for the benefit of a new customer that, again, over time, will add $150, maybe $200 per year to the bottom line. But what if all of your customers were like new customers? In a Wall Street Journal article this past weekend, the author was trying to predict consumer behavior in a post-pandemic world. Starting with the premise that 80% of the people would return to normal, restaurants, ball games, theme parks, the author focused on 2 things. The first was the timing of changes in behavior. The second was a basic point that, quote, most businesses can't operate on 80% of demand. They will need major overhaul. As I ponder those 2 points, I realized that our industry is well aware of the 80% rule. 80% of normal volume is a bad thing. It all but precludes profitability for us. However, our volumes are much more dictated by heating degree days than they are by consumer purchasing behavior. And since we don't control the weather, there's only so much we can do about that. However, the other question, the timing of these behavioral changes, it really hit home with me. Our industry's demographics are really enviable. Homeowners are generally older and generally more financially stable than renters are. So while the sales of many discretionary items might drop, the sale of heating fuels to people who own homes and are even more likely to be home is not a bad way to earn a living, as it has been for decades for many companies and families. But with more customers working from home and more students learning from home, we're going to see an overall increase in demand. That is good news, but no clue as to which individual homes are going to be increasing their demand. That's the bad news. How do you plan for usage that you simply can't predict? Likely in the same way that you would plan for a new customer, very conservatively. How many additional trucks and drivers would you need if you just didn't know how much your customers would use? How much more money would you spend making those extra, arguably smaller deliveries? Would it surprise you if your cost to deliver fuel to your average customer jumped by between $40 and $50 per customer per year simply because you didn't know which customers were burning more fuel? The average delivery into a 275-gallon heating oil tank is about 150 gallons. If you wanted to keep the same low risk of runouts that you currently enjoy, you would likely need to lower the average delivery size by about 10%, maybe to 135 gallons. That might not sound too terrible until you consider that you would have to make an extra delivery every year to most of your customers. In a world that is using data and processing to make things more efficient, this certainly sounds like a step backwards, a step that might reduce your net profitability by as much as 25%. In the past, there were some realistic objections to monitoring tank levels. The 2 main ones were, 1, they were expensive to buy and maintain, and the second one was, things are okay without them, why do I need the hassle? Better put, if it isn't broken, why fix it? The industry consensus is that monitors will continue to grow in usage by fuel distributors. But just like many other types of operational improvements, it was supposed to happen over time, unless there was a reason to hurry it up. Over the past 2 months, the reason to hurry it up has arrived. On the cost side of things, perhaps the conversation needs to start with the benefits as opposed to simply what will it cost. If costs were the only issue in making buying decisions, who would upgrade a back office system, who would buy onboard computers, and who would upgrade their websites? We need to look at the cost of not having monitors. Some of our programs at Angus include monthly monitoring at actually no cost to the dealer. That is how strongly we feel about the value of monitors. You might think that you have a lot on your plate and a lot to figure out before next year. Will drivers be as reliable considering that many of them are in a high-risk group? When will you be able to get into the basements to do your cleanings? Will your banks be a little stingier with the receivables lines of credit? These are all good questions, and now that most of us gotten through the PPP process and are focusing on the future, let's realize that the single biggest expense you have is the cost to deliver fuel. And the biggest uncertainty relating to the delivery of fuel is that you've just lost the ability to successfully predict consumption. It's May, but before we turn around, it's going to be October. The planting seeds need to start now, and now is the time to start looking at monitors.